At 90, Julie Andrews finally breaks silence on the 5 people she loved the most. I used to think Julie Andrews' greatest stories would be about Oscars, standing ovations, or those unforgettable movie roles. But the more I looked into her life, the more I realized something surprising. When Julie reflects on nearly 9 decades of living, she rarely talks about awards first. She talks about people. That's what stayed with her. Not the applause, not the headlines. The people who quietly changed her life. If you ask someone to describe Julie Andrews, chances are they'll mention Mary Poppins, the sound of music, or perhaps that unmistakable voice that seemed almost impossible to forget. But I think there's another version of Julie that's even more interesting. The woman behind all of those famous performances. A woman who never measured success by trophies sitting on a shelf. Instead, she measured it by friendships, by kindness, by the people who made difficult days easier. And the first person on that list almost feels inevitable. 1. Walt Disney. Julie once admitted she felt nervous before meeting Walt Disney. Honestly, who wouldn't? By then, he wasn't simply a producer. He was already a legend. People expected someone larger than life. Someone intimidating. Instead, Julie found someone remarkably gentle. That's what surprised her most. Walt had an unusual way of making conversations feel important. He didn't rush through meetings. He didn't dominate every discussion. He asked questions, simple ones. How should this line feel? Why would she react that way? He cared less about creating spectacle than creating honesty. That says a lot when you're making a movie where people fly through the sky holding umbrellas. Working on Mary Poppins became one of the defining chapters of Julie's career. But she often remembered something viewers never saw. The atmosphere on set. Artists. Writers. Musicians. Costume designers. Everyone believed they were building something magical together. That feeling came directly from Walt. He expected excellence, but he inspired it instead of demanding it. I really admire that. Whenever people congratulated Walt, he rarely accepted all the praise himself. He'd immediately start talking about the Sherman brothers, the animators, the crew members working behind the scenes. 2. Christopher Plummer. It's funny how some lifelong friendships begin, not with instant chemistry, not with immediate admiration. Sometimes, they begin with disagreement. Julie and Christopher Plummer couldn't have been more different when production started on The Sound of Music. Christopher came from the classical theater world. Shakespeare, stage performances, serious dramatic roles. Julie arrived from musicals and television with an entirely different background. Christopher even joked that wandering through Austrian mountains singing wasn't exactly the career path he'd imagined. Looking back now, that makes me smile. Neither of them had any idea they were creating one of the most beloved films in history. During long filming days, they spent hours simply waiting. People imagine movie sets as non-stop excitement. The truth is, actors wait constantly, waiting for lighting, waiting for weather, waiting for cameras. Those quiet hours often create the strongest friendships. Julie discovered Christopher wasn't just brilliantly talented, he was endlessly curious. He could spend 20 minutes discussing literature, then suddenly tell the funniest story in the room. His humor wasn't loud. 3. Carol Burnett. Some people make you laugh because they're incredibly funny. Carol Burnett certainly does that. But Julie has often suggested something even more meaningful. Carol makes people feel safe. That may actually be rarer than making them laugh. Show business can look glamorous from the outside. Beautiful premieres, bright lights, award ceremonies. Behind all of that, actors experience loneliness more often than people realize. You're constantly moving, meeting strangers, starting over. Carol somehow seemed to recognize when someone was struggling, even when they never said a word. She never made a performance out of kindness. She simply practiced it. A handwritten note, an unexpected phone call, a warm hug backstage, small gestures, the kind that don't make headlines, the kind people remember forever. Julie especially treasured Carol's friendship during one of the darkest periods of her own life. After surgery damaged her singing voice, everything changed. Imagine that for a moment. Your voice isn't simply your career, it's part of your identity. Julie has spoken honestly about how heartbreaking that period became. She wasn't sure who she was anymore. Friends suddenly became more important than success. Carol never treated Julie like someone broken.